from Vonash, Clarice. So they're here today to share with us basics of SMS and how we can use the Python API to actually interact with SMS and phone calls. So we are really very excited, and I'll hand over the rest of the time to Corey, who will bring us through his content today. Corey, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction, and it's great to be here with you all. Thank you so much for coming, and let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen and start this presentation. So can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So welcome to this workshop using the Vonage Voice and Text API to send a songogram. Before we dive into the code, I'm going to just do a quick, very brief background on who I am and my story and how I learned to code. So in college, I tried to learn how to program, but I actually failed. I took an intro to programming course and I ended up giving up. And so I struggled in school. I failed at math. And once I graduated from school with a political science major, I struggled to get a job. So I was having difficulty getting hired, and I felt like I didn't have the right skills to make it in the workforce. So unable to find a job and living in Silicon Valley, I decided to learn to program. And so I bought all the books and courses. Think Python is actually the first Python book that I ever bought. And 6 months later, I got my first interview at a company called eClub, and it was super exciting. But I actually bombed the interview, which was really embarrassing because my friend got it for me and I did terribly. But I ended up studying data structures and algorithms, better preparing for a technical interview, and eventually I got hired at eBay as a software engineer. So that was awesome. Focused solely on Python. So that was super cool. So we worked, or my team worked rather, on eBay Now, which was eBay's delivery service. And it was a really, really great experience. And I ended up writing a book about it. So after working at several companies in Silicon Valley, I decided to write my first book, which is called The Self-Taught Programmer, The Definitive Guide to Programming Professionally. And to my disbelief, it has now sold more than 150,000 copies worldwide. And I also started a Udemy course based on it, which has turned into a really cool community of people learning how to program, which now has 130,000 students. And I also have a Facebook community called Self-Taught Programmers that has over 60,000 members and has been growing really fast. So it's been really cool to just build this community of people that are learning how to program outside of school, just like many of you all are doing. And my book actually ended up getting translated into Japanese, so that was really cool too. This is a cover for the Japanese version of my book. And they actually just today I got sent this. And it's a funny story. So on the first one, you can see I'm like not smiling. They didn't tell me. They just randomly, when I went to Japan to give a speech and I had a meeting with my publishers, they randomly actually just took a picture of me and didn't like say anything and just plopped it on the book, which was kind of funny because I wasn't smiling or anything. So I kind of like mad, but we have a better updated photo on this new version of the book where I'm actually like smiling and stuff. But yeah, it's been really cool. I had the opportunity to come to Japan twice. Most recently, I gave a speech at PyCon Japan, which was awesome. I love visiting Japan. It's definitely one of my favorite places that I've ever traveled. I love Tokyo, and I got the chance to go to Kyoto too. That was really fun, and I'm hoping to go back to Japan. My new book, The Self-Taught Computer Scientist, is coming out in July, and I actually signed a deal with the same publisher in Japan. So I'm really hoping to, for my next book. So I'm really hoping to get the opportunity to give a speech over there, hopefully. And yeah, so I just wanted to talk really quickly about the community that I built. It's a really cool community. And I just wanted to share some of the success stories because I know a lot of people here are beginners. And so they're looking for, inspiration. Can I really do this? Can I really make the journey from complete beginner to software engineer? So here are just some quick success stories from the Facebook group that I started. This one's from Victor, and as you can see, the highlighted part says, today I mostly work with Python, interning at a major tech company, but less than 1 year ago, he he was just starting to learn HTML and CSS with no direction. So that was really cool to see him go from a complete beginner to a software engineer. And we've got Dragon, who also went from a beginner to a programmer without a degree. So as you can see, he recently got his first job as a software engineer. So these stories are really common in the community that I created. And that's why I love doing this and helping people learn how to code, because it's really cool to see people go from complete beginners to software engineers. I find that really inspiring. So as I mentioned, as far as what I'm doing now, my new book, The Self-Taught Computer Scientist, is coming out in July. Super excited about that. And I'm now working as a developer advocate at Vonage. So it's been really great. About 2 months that I've been working here, and it's been amazing. We have a really great team, and Vonage has all kinds of really useful communication APIs that we're going to get into, but to send text messages, to make phone calls, to use WhatsApp, all kinds of really awesome APIs that are incredibly helpful for developers. And so I guess I just dove into that, but if you aren't familiar with Vonage, Vonage is an award-winning cloud communications provider that has a suite of APIs to help developers like you easily do things like send text messages and make phone calls and more. So today I am going to show you how to send a songogram. And the question you might be wondering is, what is a songogram? And that's a good question. So a songogram is something that I invented and made up rather. And it's a robocall that reads your friends or family the lyrics of your favorite song on the phone. There's a lot of moving parts here, so we'll see how this demo goes. But as far as what you'll learn today, you're going to learn how to use the Vonage SMS and voice APIs and how to use them to send a songogram by building an app. So I'm assuming you have a basic understanding of programming, version control, websites, and Python, but I'll do my best to just make it as beginner friendly as I possibly can. So this is what we're gonna create is a little web app that allows you to enter your name of an artist, and a song name and a phone number, and scrape the lyrics to that song from the internet, and then make a phone call and have a robot read them. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So what you're gonna wanna do first is just download the songogram repository by opening your terminal and typing git clone and then https://github.com/sealtoff/songogram.git. So if everyone wants to go ahead and clone that into a folder, whatever folder you feel comfortable, maybe like your desktop or something, and then we're going to go ahead and open that up. So I will give you guys a minute to do that. And let me just keep this in presenting mode. So what's the best? I'm trying to figure out the best way to get feedback because I can't really present and see. Let me jump into the meeting really quick. And so you're going to want to go to your terminal for everyone that's doing this right now, and then you type this into your terminal. So let me stop sharing really quick. Is everyone having any problems, or is that working for everyone? Okay. All right, we've got directions here. So yeah, it looks like that is working for everyone. And then once you open that up, let me share my screen really quick. Okay, so once you open that up, you've got a bunch of files. So this is the main file that we're going to be using. It's called songogram.py. So you can go ahead and open that, and we're going to be taking a look at that. Okay, let me get back to the presentation. Cool. Okay. So moving forward, you'll have that that set up. So now you're going to want to navigate to your Songogram directory in your terminal. So just do CD, and then that stands for change directory if you're not aware. So go ahead and CD into your Songogram directory, and then type pip install requirements.txt. So I will give you guys a second to go ahead and do that. Super simple, just CD into the directory path, and then pip install the requirements.txt file, and that should install all the dependencies. Okay, so I'm coming back really quick, and then just let me know when I can proceed. Okay.
Corey, we seem to have some people with similar technical difficulties.
Okay.
They mentioned on the chat they are missing XC run, so I'm not sure.
Okay, let me check. How many people were able to get it to work? I'm taking a look at this error really quick.
Yeah, Flory just posted something. I think some of them are missing Xcode
Okay.
select. So
Yeah,
Flory, does it work for you after you did that?
It's still downloading, so I will try very soon and let you know.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, we'll just wait a couple minutes just to let everybody download that and see if that fixes it.
I think most of them are done, but we just received an error message from one of our participants regarding dependency resolver does not take into account something. That should be fine, right?
That looks fine to me. I mean, that seems like that should hopefully it'll still work. I guess we can. Well, I guess we'll see. But yeah, let's test to see if that will still work. So okay, let's keep going then. Thanks for everyone that helped make that work. Okay, so let's jump back to the presentation. Okay, so what we're going to do next is just a little bit of setup. And well, first of all, go ahead and go inside. Now that you've been able to download the code, you should be able to just jump into songogram.py and you have all the dependencies running. And we're going to do some initial setup, but you should see some code that looks like this. Okay, cool. So go ahead and head to this link right here. I'll throw it in the chat really quick. This keeps happening. Oh, I guess it's hard to, I guess I can't jump into the Zoom call when I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so head there, and then you can create a free Vonage or developer account. That's going to give you $10 in free credits, and then you're going to want to enter this coupon code, which I'll drop into the chat right now. 21TKPYS. Okay, that's the code that you're going to want to use. So you can go ahead and create a free account and you get $10 worth of credits for Vonage. So you should see a website that looks like this. So it says start coding, and then you enter your first name, your last name, your email, password. Then you hit create my free account. And then that should take you here, which is the Vonage API dashboard. You should have 10 credits of free account. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And if everyone can tell me when they are done, I will move on. Maybe try using a different email address. That's odd. Awesome. You're very welcome. Is anyone else left that hasn't figured it out, or has everyone been able to create their account? Okay, so should I move on? Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so okay, cool. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so you should see a dashboard like this. And so where that red arrow is pointing, I want you to press that button that is going to copy your API key. And then I want you to go back to songogram.py, and where it says in all caps Vonage _ API key. In between the quotes, you have to keep the quotes, but I want you to paste the API key there. So I'll give everyone a few minutes or 30 seconds or so to go ahead and copy their API key right there. Okay, once you've done that, you click the button that red arrow is pointing to on the other side where it says API secret. Click that button, that's going to copy your API secret. And then you're going to paste that where it says Vonage API secret, but keep the quotes because this is a Python string. And so we need quotes. Okay, so once you've done that, you are going to go to the numbers tab that the red arrow is pointing to on the left side of your dashboard. And you should see your number that Vonage has assigned to you. So you are going to copy and paste that number into Vonage _ number, again, keeping the quotes.
I think this is the part where Japan settings seems a bit different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
I'll give you I'm gonna give you a screenshot of what it looks like. Or maybe I'll just screen share and let you know what it looks like.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh no, I can't screen share because I gave up my host rights, so I'll just screenshot it.
Okay.
It's a whole bunch of text in Japanese, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to understand.
Oh. Is there a number there? Are
No.
you getting a number?
There's no number there. That's the part. So is everyone else in Japan having the same problem?
Yeah, I also do not see any numbers.
Yeah.
Same here.
Looks like one person got a number. Okay, a few people. Okay, I wonder if those people are in another. Is anyone in another country?
Or could be on a VPN, perhaps.
Okay, let me download. Oh, I think that's the image you showed me. It looks like you didn't navigate to the numbers tab in the left. Were you able to do that?
Numbers tab.
Yeah, so so that's where you get the API key and the secret from. But on the left, it should say numbers. Let me share my presentation again. So
Okay.
Make that more clear. See how there's a red arrow and it says hashtag numbers, and then underneath that it says your numbers at the very left of my screen. You have to click that tab.
Okay.
And then once you
Nice.
click that tab, hopefully you will see a number.
I still don't have any numbers showing up. Allow me. Screen share.
Let's see. Mm,
So when I navigate to your numbers,
Mhm.
it doesn't show any number. And if I search for a Japanese number, it says it's not possible to find. There are no results for this search.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I think someone just sent a screenshot that we are sharing right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a message with a partial outage on the website, so it could be related.
Okay. Yeah, that could be it. Okay. That's not good. Okay, well, the next part is going to use Beautiful Soup, so hopefully that will get resolved shortly. If not, I will brainstorm what to do, but let's just do the Beautiful Soup part really quick, and then we'll come back to this. So have you guys done any web scraping? I'm assuming you cover that in automated, the boring stuff, right?
yeah, some of us have.
Oh, okay. So okay, well, just in case this ends up working, let's just do this initially. There's just one more quick little thing to get started. So at the very left of the screen where it says getting started, if you click there, you should see what my screen looks like right now. So click getting started, and then under application name, create an application called test-application. And then where there's a red line, hit create application. So let me know if that works for everyone.
So voice getting started. Okay. Anyway, if I can just update on the number issue, what I'm seeing is that I don't think numbers are given on default. I tried to buy a number and they actually said that I have to request any type of numbers for Japan are only available upon request.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So then if you click in, they ask how many numbers do you want to buy, and to increase the speed of your request, please provide a brief description of how your business wants to use these numbers. So I think it's a manual system.
Okay. Maybe try submitting a request. Clearest, do you have any insight on this?
If I may add, it might be related to the telcos. Like when you purchase a number, it might be because you need a request from the telco. So that happens in Singapore. So Corey, do you think they can try purchasing a Canadian number? Would that work as well, just for testing?
Yeah, sure. Do you know how to do? Yeah.
So so if folks can, if you're interested, you can go back to the numbers tab under buying numbers, click on the country, maybe Canada, and then the feature will be SMS, right, Corey?
Mhm.
Yeah. So
And
click on the feature SMS, and then click for search.
And we're doing voice and SMS. We're doing both.
Oh, so click both voice and SMS. And click on search. You should have some numbers shown, and you can purchase any of them using the credits.
Yeah, and we're gonna be using the private key in just a moment, Simon. That's what I'm covering next, but I'm gonna let everyone get caught up.
Yeah, I don't know if I've done exactly what you were requesting, you know, in the workshop, but what I've done is that I put my phone number and stuff and send some text. It was working fine for me.
Oh, well, awesome. That's great.
I just got the message, and that's that's cool.
Okay,
I mean, you can
cool,
share
very
again.
cool.
You can share again your screen to be sure that I didn't miss anything.
Oh, sure, yeah. Hold on.
Wait, so William, you're using your own number, or are you using a number purchased with the credits?
I use the voice call, you know, getting starting and stuff. That's why I wanted to double check if what I've done. I use the credits. There are credits to do so.
Okay, so this is where we left off. So we created an application by hitting create application, and then you download the private key right there. You just hit save, and then you're going to want to where it says private underscore key. Inside those quotes, file path to your Vonage private key. You just add your file path to where that Vonage private key is on your computer. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if that's clear.
Oh yeah, okay. Just to tell you guys, I use the GUI to make the test, you know, inside the getting starting voice IP stuff. I think it was part of test.
Oh, right.
Try it out with the UE, start a call, etc., etc. Give you those.
Okay, yeah.
That's that part I tested and it was working fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that I get to that later on, but you skipped
Okay.
ahead. Good job.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. I'm happy that it worked for you. So I'm very happy to hear that. So is it clear for everyone how to create a file path to your Vonage private key? I'm gonna jump into the.
Yeah, we got it for private key. I'm not sure about the rest, but I got it.
Okay. Great. Okay, so once we've done that, is my screen still being shared?
No.
No. Okay. Sorry. I must have shared it. Okay, so we've added our file path, and now the final thing that we need to do for this just initial setup is go here, which you should have automatically gone to once you created your application, and you're going to just grab your application ID by hitting that button where the red arrow is pointing. That's going to automatically copy your application ID. So you're going to grab that, and then you're just going to paste that in between the strings where it says your Vonage application ID. And then, of course, in production, you'd want these to come from environmental variables, and you want to make sure you never want to expose this information to everyone, because people could then use your API, and you wouldn't want that.
A question about the Vonage number. So I was able to purchase one also with the credits. And do we have to add the plus? Like, for example, it gave me a 201 number. So actually, I ended up using a US number because there's a problem with Canada. So do I, for the country code, what do? Do I add the country code as like +1 201?
Yeah, just don't use the plus.
Don't use the plus, and no
Yeah, just the
parentheses
one.
as well, yeah?
No parentheses, yeah, just
Okay.
one, just
Gotcha.
one, yeah, and then followed by the number should work. Okay. Hopefully everyone has that done. So inside songogram.py, head to the function. You're gonna have to scroll a little bit, scrape_lyrics. So we're just gonna test this out really quick. So this is a function for scraping lyrics from songlyrics.com. So you can head to songlyrics.com if you want. If you want to see that website, it is a website for getting lyrics. It basically has the lyrics to all kinds of different songs. So you can go there if you want to check it out and see what we're doing. But we are scraping that website, and just a few lines of code by using the Beautiful Soup library. So if you scroll to the top of songogram.py, you will see that we're importing the Beautiful Soup library. We installed that when we did pip install at the beginning. And it's a really cool library that lets you easily scrape data. And I've always found if I can't figure out what kind of project I want to work on, or I need inspiration, it's always super helpful for me to scrape data. It's always fun. I mean, once you learn how to scrape data, you can build so many cool applications just by scraping different data sources and being like, oh, I can think of, like 100 different things I can do with this data. So I always find that to be really fun and a good inspiration for projects. So it's a few lines of code, and basically you send a request to the website. Scrape._site is defined at the top of your file, and basically it's a string with brackets inside of it, and then we use .format to pass in variables. In this case, we're passing in a first name, last name, song name, and then replacing those brackets with that data that comes from the function. So scrape lyrics at the top. Whenever you call that, you pass in the first name of an artist, the last name of an artist, and a song name. And then what we're doing is sending a request to that website. And then where it says HTML equals URL open, we pass in that request, we read it, then we create a Beautiful Soup object. So we say Beautiful Soup, we pass in that HTML, and the variable parser, which tells Beautiful Soup that we're parsing HTML and not something like XML. And then our function returns soup.find, and we pass in that we are looking for HTML tags that have P, which stands for paragraph, and then we're looking for the class song lyrics v14, and then we just grab the text by calling .text. So basically what's happening here is we've got this song lyrics website, and on that website it has the lyrics, and they are in HTML, and the actual lyrics part has a class called song lyrics v14, and we are looking for that class, grabbing it, and just returning the text. So if you want to test it out, go ahead and print so go ahead and type the code at the very top where it says line 98. You can do print, scrape lyrics, and then pass in the Beatles and Here Comes the Sun, and hopefully that will work. I'm going to try it out on my computer as well. So actually I was going with Hey Jude. I don't know if Here Comes the Sun was working, but right here, go ahead and do print, scrape lyrics, then pass in the Beatles, Hey Jude, and hopefully when you run that, you will get the lyrics from the Beatles song, Hey Jude. Okay, that did not work. Oh, I just typed in Jude, that's why. Hey Jude. So as you can see, when I ran scrape lyrics and passed that data in, I got the lyrics to Hey Jude. And then you can try it with other songs if you want. So I'm going to try Here Comes the Sun, see if that works. Let's see, I got the lyrics from Here Comes the Sun. And go ahead and try your favorite artist and song, see if it works. So is that working for everyone? All right, one person said it worked. We got a yes.
Can you go back to your share screen, sharing your screen just for a second?
Yeah. Do you want to see the Python part?
Yeah, where I think Sonogram.
Okay, and so I'm going to show you a little more detail about how this works by actually, one second. Okay, so let's take a look. At this website. So this is songlyrics.com. And if we type in Here Comes the Sun. So this is what we're scraping. So what we want is this. And if we say inspect, that allows us to actually see the HTML. And as you can see, this is a p tag, which is in our Python code. We said we wanted a HTML element with p tag. And then this is the class song lyric SV14. Actually, this has two classes. So it has song lyric SV14 and then I comment dash text. And so we are interested in any P element that has the class song lyrics V14. And so that is what we are doing in this line of code when we call soup.find and we pass in the P and then this dictionary, which says we're looking for a class that is called song lyrics V14. And then we just go ahead and grab that text. And so you can change this code pretty easily to scrape other information or to scrape other websites. All right, so I hope that worked for everyone. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Okay, so I'm going to talk super briefly about what API is. So an API stands for Application Programming Interface, and an API is a way for two or more software applications to interact. So for example, Twitter has an API that lets you programmatically send tweets. Google Maps has an API that lets you get directions via Python or another programming language. So Vonage has an SMS API that allows you to programmatically send text messages. And so this came up earlier, but here's a little bit about formatting. So within the Vonage Voice API, all numbers are in E.164 format, and that means that numbers omit the leading plus sign and international access codes such as 00 or 001. They also don't contain special characters such as parentheses. Okay, so at the top of songogram.py, you can see from Vonage, we are importing client, voice, and SMS. I have an arrow pointing to SMS because we're about to use the SMS API. So send text is the name of our function that we're going to use to send a text message. And you can pass in, you have to pass in 4 parameters: song name, artist, number to text, and your name. So I'm going to jump into PyCharm rather, and let's test this out. But you send the text to your own cell phone. This is my number, so if you guys want to text me, you can. But you're going to want to say send text, and then you can put in the name of a song, the name of the artist, your number, and then your whatever your name is. So hopefully for you it says message sent successfully. So if you guys want to go ahead and try to call that function, let me know if it works for you. I'm going to stop sharing really quickly. Anyone have any luck? All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Corey, is it fair to assume that if the text was, from one, like for example, a US number to a Japanese number, there would be more charges or the higher charges compared to, let's say, a US number, I'm sorry, from a US number to a US number? Or
I think so. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm just going to wait a few more minutes to let everyone get caught up. Okay, all right, I'm going to move on. Okay, so now we are going to move on to hopefully the voice API. So we have something called a Nexmo call control object with the Vonage voice API, and it is essentially a dictionary that allows you to pass in different options on how you want the voice API to behave. So navigate to this code where it says make call, and we are going to go through this really quick. Okay, so where it says make call, this is our function make call, and it accepts 3 parameters: number to call, text, and your name. And it's going to read that text to you, to whoever gets called. It's going to read that text. And so the first line of code, if length of text is greater than 1,000, there's limits on how much text you can read using Vonage's voice API text to audio feature. So we're just doing a quick check to make sure that the song lyrics aren't too long. There's ways to get around that, but if we had to deal with really large data, but in this case, just to make it simple, we're ignoring any data that is too long, and we're just cutting it down. So basically, if we scrape lyrics that are too long, we're just using this text equals text code right here to make it smaller. So we only will read part of the song lyrics and not the whole thing. So here we have that Nexmo object that I was talking about. So we're gonna pass in a dictionary, and in that dictionary, we say the action that we want is talk, which means text to talk. And then we're passing in text and the actual message that we want the robocall to read. So in this case, our robocall is going to read, this is a songogram from, and the name that you passed in, and then the text that you passed in. So what's going to happen, just to clarify, is when you call this function, it is going to call the number that you passed in. It's going to read, this is a songogram from, it's going to say your name, and then it's going to read the text. So once this is all put together, it's going to read the lyrics of the song that we scraped. So right here, we instantiate a client object. We pass in our application ID and our private key. This client object is from the Vonage module that we imported up here. So we create that object, and then we instantiate a voice object and pass that client in. Now we have that saved in this voice variable. And then on voice, we call the method create call. So we call create call, and then we pass in a dictionary, and it has 3 keys, 2 from, and NCCO. So for NCCO, we just pass in this Nexmo call object that we defined up here. And for from, we pass in our Vonage number. That's automatically going to be our Vonage number, which you have at the top of your file. And for to, that is going to be the number to call that we pass in our function right here. And at the very end of our function, we call the method send speech on our voice object. And that is all we have to do in order to make an automated call using Vonage's video or voice API. So let's go ahead and try that out. At the bottom, you're going to want to do something like this. Make call, pass in the number. It'd be best just to test on yourself. So pass in your number, pass in, if you want, Here Comes the Sun and the Beatles. You can do whatever you want. We're not actually scraping data and passing it in yet, but we will do that later. And then if you run that you should. So I'm getting a call right now.
This is Sonogram from the Beatles. Here comes the sun.
Okay, so I'm going to take a break really quick. Let me know if that worked for all of you. All right, so Simon has a question. Go ahead. Let me know what your question is. That is a good question. I'm sure that you can, yes. Clearest, if you want to weigh in on that, I'm pretty sure that is an option in the Nexmo control object.
I think so. Let me do a quick check now.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you can, yes. Okay, while she checks on that, I'm going to move on because it looks like many people were able to get that working or should be just finishing up getting that working. So I am going to move on. Okay, so now we're going to put it all together by actually sending a songogram. So if you jump to the top of the file, you should see a function that says send songogram. So that takes your name, the artist's first name, the artist's last name, a song name, and the number to call. And it's super simple. We have this in a try except block in case anything goes wrong. Generally, you don't want to have such a broad except clause, but in this case, I'm being lazy. And if anything goes wrong, then we just throw an error and say bad request, unable to process a request. Because a lot of things can go wrong in this program because we can scrape the lyrics website and it might not find lyrics. It can do all kinds of things that are errors, and then we want to go ahead and catch that. So inside our try block, first we call scrape lyrics, which we already learned how to do that. And we pass that an artist first name, an artist last name, and a song name. And then we call make call, pass the parameters in there, and then we send a text. So basically the three functions that we just covered, we scrape the lyrics, we make the call, and then we send a text just confirming. It's going to say something like, you just received a songogram. So let's try that out. So you should have a function and pass in something that looks like this with all this information.
This is a songogram from Corey Hayes. Don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her into your heart. Then you can start to make it better. Hey, Julie, don't be afraid. You were made to go out and get her. The minute you let her under your skin, then...
All right, so that is a songogram. And you can do it for your favorite artist, your favorite song, and send your friends awesome sonograms. So let me unshare really quick. Let me know if that worked for any of you. So someone said, could I send an SMS message by performing the songogram.py, but only message, not the lyrics part? Yeah, so you can send any kind of message you want, make any sort of phone call you want just by changing the function. Okay, so I'm gonna really quickly show you the web app. So I'm not sure how much familiarity you all have with Flask, but I love Flask. I like it a lot better than Django. I think it's super cool just because this is all the code you need to actually run an app, which is super cool. It's just there's no setup. You just defined an app. You say app equals Flask, pass in that name, and then this is where you define the routing of your website. So in this case, this means that we're defining what happens when you go to the home page of the website that we're setting up. And then you can just go ahead and return the HTML that you want to appear at this address right here. So in this case, we are passing in index.html. So that is this file right here. So it's just a little bit of HTML that creates, I will show you what it creates. So if you run the web app and click here, so that is the web app that we created. And this just allows you to type in your name, the artist's first name, last name, song name, phone number, and to send a songogram that way. So that's a really quick web app that I created. You can take a look at the HTML if you're interested. It's super easy. And that, I just wanted to demonstrate the power of Flask, how cool it is. So in this function, this is where we are actually handling what happens when you make an API call. So I set it up as an API as well. And so you can go to the test server and hit /API/1.0.0/songogram and then pass in all the parameters like this, separated by the ampersand symbol. And you can use it as an API as well. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the live coding there. I hope that it worked for everyone. Does anyone have any questions about the code that I can answer? Okay, cool. So looks like it worked for a few people. Hopefully it worked for many of you. I'm not sure, but it looked like it worked for a few people. And so that is the end of the code that I wanted to share with everyone. I have a couple of, let's see, some questions that I can start out by addressing, and then I'll open it up to questions if anybody has any.
Actually, technically, I have a problem. I have a
Okay.
authentication error happening at the call, make call function, sorry, all the way back. So any idea how I can resolve it?
What does it say? Will you send a screenshot?
Yeah, sending it now. Okay, screenshot sent.
Was the text message API working for you?
Yeah, text message was working.
And what did you call when you got this error? Oh, make call.
Make call, yeah.
Did you try the different ways of, so I know someone said adding a plus helped them.
Oh. No, I've not tried using the
I'm
plus.
not sure why, but maybe you could try that.
I mean, it didn't require the plus in the text message, so I thought.
Oh yeah, that's.
No, I'm still getting the same problem.
Hmm.
Plus or no plus, I think it's the same. So just to verify, when we did the make call, I wasn't supposed to edit anything inside make call function, right? I was just supposed to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so perplexing, but.
That's really weird. I wonder if the problem has to do with your private key or something like that.
Okay, I will check all the parameters.
Okay.
'Cause. Then I will see whether it resolves the problem. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let me answer some questions. Share my screen again. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to share my screen for this. Okay, so one of the questions that you had was that in my book I mentioned that I was having trouble with learning how to program and that it was hard and I was giving up. How did I manage to push through? Any advice? Because every day I do feel myself battling anxiety to learn to code, and I'm sure some of our fellow audience feel the same. This is a really good question. So I definitely felt the same way. So one thing that I've noticed is essentially everyone feels imposter syndrome. In my first book, I talked about how I had a conversation with my friend and he had a master's degree in computer science from Stanford. And he also had his undergraduate CS degree from there as well. And he still had like an hour-long conversation with me about how he feels imposter syndrome. So I think everyone gets it. And I just wanted to say that because if you're feeling that, that's normal, especially coming from this self-taught background. It can be hard because you feel like everyone else has a CS degree and they're doing it this way and I'm learning on my own and can I really make it? And that's one of the reasons why I created a Facebook group, because I wanted to create an environment where people could support each other and where you could see definitive proof. Oh, wow, this person started a year ago and now they're programming professionally. So I think that is helpful for pushing through, just knowing how many people have gone from complete beginners to software engineers and seeing what the rewards are just professionally. I mean, software engineering is a really rewarding career and there's so much that you can do when you learn how to program. And I think just holding that as motivation is super helpful. I mean, with me, I worked as a software engineer. Now I'm working as a developer advocate. I love working as a developer advocate. It's been so fun so far, but I was only able to do that because I have coding skills. So whether you want to be a software engineer or a developer advocate or so many other professions now require coding skills. I think that actually 50% of high paying jobs now in the US require some form of coding skills. So if you can just use that to motivate yourself, everyone, even if you get a CS degree, feels imposter syndrome. They feel like they don't know enough. Software engineering is such a vast subject. You know, computer science, there's so much to learn. You can study it for 10 years and 20 years still feel like you have more to learn, and that there just is always more to learn. And so just keeping that in mind, you're always going to be learning. There's always going to be more to learn, but that you're making tremendous progress. And every day that you don't give up is huge. And getting you towards that finish line of, you know, getting a job as a software engineer if you want, or using your coding skills in some other way. So just, that's what I would recommend. Just think about how beneficial towards your career learning how to code is going to be, and then try to use that to push through, because you definitely can learn to code. If you don't give up, you absolutely will learn to code, for those of you that are beginners. So another question was that companies only hire people with experience. And one way that I've suggested to get around that problem is to contribute to open source projects and to freelance. And the question says, I think many of us feel that those two things are impossibilities. Any advice on how we can get our foot in the door? So I come up with this method that I call climbing the freelance ladder that I think you all might find helpful when you're trying to confront this situation. So like I said, the problem is that you need experience to get hired as a software engineer, but in order to get experience, you need experience. So it's a sort of chicken and the egg problem. So the way I got around that is climbing the freelance ladder, which essentially means freelancing, but not trying to go after huge projects, which I think is why this question said it felt impossible. With climbing the freelance ladder, you start with $5 projects or $2 projects on a site like Upwork.com. So web scraping is really great. That's actually what I recommend that you start with, because there's so many web scraping projects on sites. If you're not familiar, Upwork.com is a freelance site. Clients put projects that they want to pay for, and then freelancers bid on those projects. There's also sites like Fiverr.com, and Freelancer.com is another big one. So there's tons of these sites. Clients go on there. They say, I need to scrape data from this website. I'm willing to pay this amount of money. And you can find jobs on there that pay like $5, $10. And a lot of people don't want those jobs because they pay so little. But for you, it's super valuable experience because accepting $5 to scrape a website and then successfully completing that makes you a professional programmer because you're getting paid to program. And you start with these $5 projects, and then you work your way up to $10 projects, and then you work your way up to $20 projects. Pretty soon you're doing $100 projects. This is exactly what I did and how I got my first job at eBay. I started with really, really small projects on Upwork.com. Back then it was called Elance.com. And so you just work your way up, and eventually you're doing $1,000 projects. And then pretty soon you're doing by the hour projects, because those are also offered on there. And you might do like a 2 or 3 month contract. And that's pretty close to actually working as a software engineer, because you're doing like a 3-month project where you're getting paid 40 hours a week. And only then, once you've climbed the freelance ladder and you have that experience, do you apply for jobs. And at that point, you talk about your experience as if you've been, you have programming experience. So you talk about it in a completely different way than if you had just applied for a job with absolutely zero experience. So that is my advice for that. And the other question was, what are some interesting use cases for our telecommunications API? And that's a really good question. I'm actually going to follow up with that and have our team send over one of the presentations that we just did, because I think that will better answer your question. We do a lot of, for the SMS use cases, it is 2-factor authentication, which was mentioned in this question. But we also have WhatsApp API. We have an API that interfaces with WhatsApp, and some startups are doing some really, really cool stuff with that, with customer service and interacting with customers. And so that's really cool. And then, so I wanted to open it up and ask if anyone else has any other questions. I see there's one question here. How would you recommend go about moving from an interpreted language like Python to compiled low-level language like C, C++, Java? I don't know that you have to. I started my career in Python, and I'm doing Python now. So I've actually never switched over to programming professionally in C++ or anything like that. I did a little bit of Java, but I have almost exclusively programmed in Python and JavaScript throughout my career. So that's worked out for me. So I don't have too much advice there. Does anyone else have any other questions? What was the most fun part through your journey of being a self-taught programmer? I mean, I'd say just writing my first program and just that at the very beginning, it was just so exciting. Doing things like scraping data from the web for the first time, I just felt like it opened up such a just overwhelming amount of possibilities of programs I could create and things I could do. So it was really exciting the first few months once I was able to make that jump from copying other people's code to writing my own code. That was awesome. So that was super exciting. Okay, we got another question. All downhill from there. No. I mean, like I said, I love my job. It's been really exciting moving from building programs to still building programs, but getting to do stuff like this, which has been a really cool fit for me. Being able to combine public speaking, and I do Twitch streaming every week. Once a week, I interview someone on Twitch, and then I build demo apps for Vonage. So it's been really, really cool. I love this job. And so I definitely don't think it's all downhill. From there, I think it only gets better. But those first few months are really special just because you get to see the power of programming. So more and more sites are applying measures to block any scraping. Do you have any techniques to work around the blocking? Yeah. So Selenium, and there's a bunch of companies that specialize in this, in getting you different IP addresses. So there's a lot of scraping as a service websites. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I would look into that. And there's a lot of different companies that offer solutions to that. And so it's pretty easy to get around. How long did you do freelance work until you got a job at eBay? So I don't know the exact amount of time, but it was somewhere around like 6 months of freelance work before I ended up getting the job at eBay. So it was 1 year between first learning how to program, and then I was doing like various amounts of freelancing work. I getting really heavy at the end. The last like 3 months I was doing a ton, but hopefully you guys can make the journey even quicker than me. I think you guys can, for those of you that are beginners. Any other questions? We have just a couple more minutes here, but I hope that you found everything that we covered today useful, by the way, and it was really awesome getting the chance to interact with all of you and to meet you all, and to get a chance to do a workshop in Japan is just super cool. Any last minute questions? I'll just give it like a few more seconds. Okay, so it looks like, we look forward to having you in Japan. Yeah, I really hope that I can come once coronavirus is all worked out, and I would love to give one more speech in Japan because that'd be so fun, and hopefully bring my wife as well because she went with me last time and she really enjoyed it too. So is there anything that you guys would like to say to wrap up? Oh, we got a question here. Private key equals. Oh yes, that's the file path to your private key. So you need to put a string, so a quote, and then you put the path to where your private key is on your operating system, and then another quote. So say like desktop/myprivatekey.pem. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right, well, that's all that I will say, but thank you. Okay, great, Damon. Thanks, Corey. I'm super happy that you enjoyed it. Thank you guys all so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming. I hope you learned something, and I hope that you'll be able to do some cool things with Vontage's API. So hit me up on Twitter at Corey Altoff if you managed to use Vontage's API to do something cool, or if you want to chat about anything, that's where the best place to reach me is. So thank you guys all so much for coming. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off because I'm very tired. It's been a long day. It's about 7:30 p.m. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for coming. I had a really great time doing this workshop with you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night, depending where you are. Thank you guys so much. And hopefully we'll talk soon on Twitter. So see you guys. Have a great night.
Thanks, Corey. Have a good
Thanks,
rest.
Corey. Yeah,
Thank
have a
you.
Good weekend.